Welcome to the No Streetlights podcast. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Tim. We'll be engaging in stimulating conversations every week.
We want to encourage societal growth towards kindness through understanding.
These conversations and the associated language can be triggering.
Listen at your own discretion.
But please reach out if we need to be doing something better.
So, let's take a breath, relax, and be welcome.
Before you say anything, Aaron, okay? I know I haven't properly introduced her yet to you, even though you were at my wedding. But today's guest is somebody that's probably the most important person to me in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you've known her as wife B, but I...
Jared Padalecki?
No, that's husband B. But I would like to give a very warm and proper introduction to my wife, Brittany.
Hello.
Be welcome.
What up?
It's good to finally have you on. I know we've talked about it back and forth a little bit, but...
Yeah, we brought it up in a couple of different episodes from time to time, and we always bounce the idea around, but now you're finally here, so welcome.
I know,
so everyone
this
gets
is exciting.
to see the artist behind the logo and the...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Hello.
woman who...
Hi, it's me.
The woman who is
The
running
artist.
the entire coffee business, BB's Coffee, in the flesh.
Oh, yes, of course.
In the audio? There we go.
If you didn't know, she's a C-suite. She is the CEO, COO, CFO of BB's Coffee. All of those things, I think.
All those things, yeah. It's absolutely incredible to have you on here, wife.
Thank you for having me.
I'm definitely not going to be calling you Brittany throughout this because that's unnatural, and I don't call you Brittany in our day-to-day. So if I call you, if I say babe or something every now and then, like, sorry, listeners, but kind of have to deal with it. My bad.
Yes.
Ew, love.
Ew, we love
Healthy
Ew.
relationships. I hate it.
No.
Ew, that's kind of gross. I don't know how I feel about that.
Why don't we go ahead and kind of rip the Band-Aid off? This episode is not intended to be a kind of lighthearted episode. You know, this isn't like our fireside chat. Aaron, there's something that's been going on that I've known about for a while, but I don't think you've been pretty privy to it, mostly because our life is private. That's what we do. Wife, do you want to kind of give an introduction? What are we talking about today? Why did you want to be here?
I guess to rip off the Band-Aid, I am recovering from an eating disorder. I have dealt with it for over 10 years, on and off, but definitely towards, I guess, this year or last year, it was definitely the worst I've ever been. So
Right.
I was bulimic. I had a binging disorder. So basically, I would eat and eat until I couldn't anymore, and then just tell myself, like, hey, time to go to the restroom, time to puke it all out,
Time to purge.
start all over. And then it would just be like a cycle, constant cycle.
Right.
I'm sorry you've been dealing with that, but with the projects we've been working on, we now see the problems as opportunities to grow.
Yes.
So I know I'm grateful that you've seen this as an opportunity and you're walking the path.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've heard your guys' podcast. I see the difference you're trying to make. You're bringing out all these positive advices for people who are struggling. And I wanted to help out in a certain way. I wanted to share my story, basically. Yeah.
It's a great opportunity for you to shine your light.
Absolutely.
Bring my flashlight.
Yep. I can tell you live with Tim.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just garbled.
Aaron, we always joke about how you're the crazy one, but you know, when you put me and her together, we're kind of two halves of a whole psychopath.
Yeah, I mean,
Kind of.
perception versus reality. People only see maybe 1% of our lives. They see 1 hour out of one day a week.
Oh, that's fair.
So we're all insane, and we all deserve compassion because we're all doing our best. So, Brittany, do you want to talk about the origin of this disorder? I was going to come in way softer. Build some rapport,
You
like
want
this
to
was
tell
an
me your
interview.
story?
But Tim was like, tell me about the bulimia.
Tell me. I want to know.
Binging
might
and
as well.
purging. Get on it, wife.
Let's go. Okay, I'm gonna say it. Okay. Um,
So do you want to talk about kind of like where this started? Because you said you've been dealing with it for 10 years. I know you're mid-20s, so
yeah.
that means you started probably around puberty because you're a small
Yeah.
gal. So it sounds like 10
So-
years ago is kind of when you got into it.
So when I was actually 13 is when I started getting all these insecurities, but I never went towards that path. It was just me talking to myself. I was my own bully at 13.
Yeah.
I would always look at myself in the mirror and be like, you are the ugliest human being.
Yeah.
So that's how I used to talk to myself. And I used to be very active. So I did Taekwondo for 8 years, did basketball. And when I stopped, I kind of was just always just enjoying just eating. I liked eating.
I mean, you need to when you're that active.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so for the outsiders, they would see like a teenage girl who, I guess they used to say that I was very, very skinny, and then started to like add more meat into my bones since I started eating a lot more. And it was around when I was probably 14 when there was a person that I rarely spoke to, didn't see the need to. It was my birthday. I was enjoying cake, and he was sitting there watching me, and I look over, I'm like, hi. And he said, your face got big. You look bigger than before. And so I was like, oh, thanks. Anyway, I'm gonna put this cake down and go cry in the bathroom.
Didn't he like tell you might want to stop eating that cake?
Yes. Yeah. And I'm like, well, yeah, I guess so. Thank you for making me feel like shit on my birthday.
While you're trying to like find yourself and finding Taekwondo, and your body's like, hey, we need more to
Yeah,
be supporting
exactly.
You're kind of going
Yeah.
into a major caloric deficit here, and you're doing kicks for 2 hours a night. And people are like, oh, you're putting on some size. Yeah, it's called muscle. If you worked out, maybe
Yeah.
you would know about it.
Yeah, you know what you mean. If I want to
Yeah.
eat my cake, I'm gonna eat my cake.
this. So that's when you started getting body dysmorphia, it sounds like.
Yes, yes. I started feeling really bad about my body. I was like the joke where they would just grab my belly
Hmm.
and just laugh. And I'm just like, well, this is funny, isn't it? For you, but okay. And then I think that was when I was 15, and I'm just like, I ate so much, I feel like crap. I'm just gonna puke it all out. And so I did it. And the first time I did it, I'm like, oh God, I hated it. I'm like, this is painful. Why would I even do this? But then every time someone made a comment, I would go to the bathroom.
Hmm.
I was very insecure of my arms, so I used to cover it a lot. So I would grow out my hair and use it to shield my arms a lot. And obviously that still didn't make me feel any better. So that's why I would get like haircuts like twice a year because I needed it to be long.
Yeah. Well, you were hiding.
Wow.
Exactly. I was hiding behind my hair. And I didn't like wearing dresses. It was not a good time. And the whole purging out my food wasn't constant. It was just more on binge eating. And then sometimes purging here and there. But then by the time I turned 16, I think it was 16 where I went to confirmation camp. And
What is confirmation camp? Where they make sure you're straight?
No, it's a thing in Catholicism.
Oh, where they confirm you in your religion.
Right. Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
I was wondering how religious we were getting, but now I'm tracking.
Yeah, so we just go to the mountains before we get confirmed, just, go through the process and stuff. And there was this project that we had to do as a group activity where one of us would be blind, one of us would be mute, paralyzed, and we all had to find a way to help each other climb up.
Hmm.
And I was a paralyzed person while this boy was mute. So they said, just go on his back and then climb up. And I'm like, okay, I'm having a fun time. I feel good. I feel free. I'm feeling really happy right now. And so I jump on his back, and then the comment he made was, he's like, oh, you're heavier than the other girl, but I guess it's okay. And he just kept commenting how heavy I was throughout that climb. And I just wanted to hop off and just cry. It was not a good feeling.
No. Well, I
No.
mean, we've already said it, but like, you were 16 years old. Like, you don't even know who you are yet as a person, and you're having this negativity constantly like berated into your life.
And it sounds like he was just trying to express how tired he was, because I'm sure hiking a mountain with a person on your back is not easy.
Right.
But he wasn't realizing the impact his words were having on you, because he was sub 25 and didn't have his emotional IQ capacity even built yet.
Right.
Yeah.
But the way you received it is how you've basically been hearing it for 2 years at that point from people you know. And you processed it the only way that you probably could have at the time, which is, I'm big.
Just be hurt and suffer.
Yeah. The sadness that comes with that.
And the anger and the everything. Man.
So that was about the time when it became more of a habit then?
Yeah, that's when I started purging a lot more. Still eating and then purging. But then I entered this cycle where I will starve myself and then eat. But then I'll be so hungry. I'm like, I can't eat. I have to do this. And so I would just eat and eat till I couldn't breathe properly, because it was just so full, and it's just like hurting my stomach. And then I'll puke it out and I'll start over. So it was a never ending cycle. And by the time I turned 18, it was when it worsened. So I was working out, but still doing the same thing, to the point I'm like, let's see how I do if I don't eat for 24 hours. And I did that. People offered me food, but like, oh no, I'm good. And they're like, oh yeah, she's just trying, she just doesn't want to eat. She's trying to lose weight. I'm like, yeah, that's true actually. And they didn't mind, but they didn't know I really wasn't eating all day. But when I didn't eat all day, it was such a terrible feeling in my body. I can feel my body just feeling weak and cold. I was shaking. I couldn't even sleep because of how hungry I was. So that was also a pretty bad time. And that was also when I told my sister, because I needed to talk to somebody about it.
Right.
Because I realized if I talk about it out loud, I can hear how bad it is and maybe just stop.
Yeah. One thing we talked about in our brainstorm sesh is your schedule, both with like waking, exercise, eating, etc. Because this kind of shows how severe it was. We can say it was bad, but people don't know what that looks like.
Yeah. So I would wake up at 6 a.m, wait for like a good 30 minutes. I would drink my coffee and flush everything out. I had to be absolutely empty. So I'll go on a run, and then I'll start lifting weights. Never really did it properly because I still didn't know the proper way. I just needed to move and feel like I'm losing weight.
Yeah.
And then I would go home and eat a bowl of yogurt with blueberries. And that was pretty much it. It had to be non-fat. It had to be specific. I memorized calories. I memorized how many calories the blueberry has, and then yogurt, and then honey. I had to make sure, and I wrote them down to see how much is breakfast and then how much is lunch. And then I'd wait 4 to 5 hours to eat lunch. I would hide in my room and make sure I didn't go out, because if I went out, then that means I'm tempted to eat. So I'd wait in my bedroom. And for lunch, I would go out, grab a little rice cake. It had to be less than 50 calories, less than 100 calories. And then I would just put maybe a little bit of peanut butter or more yogurt on top with granola. That was my lunch. Then I was done. And then wait hours again for dinner. I would only eat a little bit of quinoa, a little bit of tofu, and then spinach, and that was it. And I was done for the day. I would take melatonin and knock myself out so I can end the day fast.
So how many calories were you ingesting in a day, since you were tracking calories?
500 to like 700, 800 between. It had to be less than 1,000.
When I went through CFL school, I'm pretty sure they said that a woman needs like 12 or 1,400 calories a day to not die.
Yes.
So I'm sure you felt like you were dying while you were doing this.
Oh, daily. I would get sick easily.
But it looked healthy from the outside. You were waking
Yes.
up, running, doing your fasted cardio.
Yeah, and I was giving people advices. I was telling them,
Yeah.
like, yeah, you should eat this much. This is how I'm losing the weight. And it's really good. I even showed them my notebook, all my notes. And at the time, they're like, oh, that's good. Okay.
You're really dedicated.
Yeah.
I had the whole notebook. I threw it away because it definitely didn't have the best advices. I would watch YouTube and ways to lose like 7 pounds in a week, or 15
take ice
pounds in
baths
2.
so that your metabolism has
Exactly.
to spike so you don't die.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm like, okay, cool. This is working.
Something else that you had mentioned too was like you actually were fearful of drinking water
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And salt.
and salt. Yeah. You were told salt
Yeah.
made you gain weight.
Water scared me a lot. So I rarely drank water because I was scared to have water weight. I felt like water was going to make me gain weight. So that's why even to this day, I have problems drinking water because I forget to drink since I was so used to just not drinking water.
Mm-hmm. So how much water were you surviving on daily? So 5 to 700 calories and like what, a glass of water a day?
I honestly don't ever really remember drinking water, only in the morning when I run. And then that's like after running, and then I'm done and I would just drink coffee for the rest of the day.
Jesus.
Just black coffee all day.
Coffee kept me warm.
Your kidneys and bladder must be so angry.
That's the crazy part too. The bathroom situation was never okay. Never
No,
good.
God.
Oh, yeah.
Never.
Not to jump ahead either, but on the road that she's been on lately, one of the important things to make sure happened was that she had a full physical workup and everything so that they checked the function of her body and everything. And luckily she's healthy, you know, like the long-term lasting effects are not so prevalent where they showed up in like blood tests and various other tests that they ran.
So you're healthy today, but I would really focus on supplements for your kidney, bladder from the way you... Because my stepdad, he had to have his bladder taken out because he fried his bladder when he was playing softball as a kid. Yeah. He just drank sweet tea. He never drank water.
Yeah, that would do it.
Yeah.
You may want to have like a glass of cranberry juice a day or something just to...
I definitely should because bad kidneys runs in our family.
And you've spent 10 years beating the hell out of them. So, Tim, shopping list?
Yeah, definitely going to add that. Do you think this was based off of like, you know, your upbringing? Like, is this a cultural thing?
Oh, yes. So in the Philippines, there is definitely a beauty standard that we had to follow. I remember being a kid and I'd watch TV and they would say, always like, you know, dress up before you go downstairs, always look clean, always look presentable, no matter what. I always had to wear like headbands to make sure my hair is in my face. And at the time I was just in that whole wannabe emo phase. So I wanted my bangs and my hair to always be on my face to show how miserable I am, even though I wasn't miserable. I just wanted to look miserable.
Well, I mean, you kind of were miserable.
Yeah, I was going to say, you kind of were. So.
Okay, you're right. No, with the beauty standards, I felt like I had to follow what the standards were. I had to be a certain weight. My hair had to be a certain length.
The bleaching
of the skin. Yeah. So in the Philippines, they used to, I don't know if they still sell it, but there was definitely the skin products to lighten your skin.
I think most Asian cultures believe the paler you are, the more attractive, because back in the day, that meant you weren't working in the field, so you had money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a carryover. And you grew up in America.
Yeah.
Even the American beauty standards of the 90s, like it was, you should weigh 90 pounds.
Yeah.
And...
Yeah, you grew up watching shows like Hannah Montana.
So Sunny with a Chance. You guys know that Disney show with Demi Lovato?
Vaguely. I think it was just a little bit past my time.
Yeah, that was just past my time. I'm sorry.
But I know the
Talk to
name.
me about
I know the
courage.
name.
I
Or Ed, Ed, and Eddie.
tried to
Yeah.
be her. I really tried to be like Demi Lovato back then in Sunny with a Chance era, where she had dark hair, dressed a certain way, and I wanted to dress a certain way, have dark hair. But I also started following what she did as well. She also dealt with an eating disorder.
Mm.
So I think because I was such a huge fan, I'm like, it worked for her. Maybe it'll work for me too. Maybe I can be as skinny as her if I do this. So I think that's what also caused it to get worse. I was trying to be her.
Yeah.
When she already recovered from it, but I was looking into her past. I'm like, it worked for her. She got skinny by doing this. If I follow her way, I can get skinny too.
Yeah, that's like the idea that children, whenever they look at like Barbie dolls, it gives them like this false idea of like what an adult woman's body is supposed to look like, the unrealistic proportions and things like that. And that's kind of, I feel like that is a really big thing in the television from the 90s, 2000s, and just kind of
Or
in
even
general.
today.
In
Like,
just in general, you know, like they really want to push like the most beautiful, pristine figure, and that's who we should idolize, you know? Like if you're a man and you don't have an 8-pack or not 6'2", are you really that desirable?
Look at who they're calling plus size models. Those are just fucking models. Those
Yeah. They look like they're healthy. They look perfectly healthy.
I think I should be a model because I have a totally normal fucking body.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
you're pretty
Hell
fucking
yeah.
So Calvin Klein, hit me up. I will model you underwear.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You were just constantly surrounded by all these influences telling you the smaller you are, the more beautiful you are, you have to be tiny.
Yes. There's even when it comes to K-pop, their beauty standard, I also really wanted to follow it because during the time where I was eating 500 calories, I would look at videos like how to be as skinny as this K-pop idol. Eat one ice cube per
For
hour.
lunch.
That was one of
Yeah.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Eat ice cubes for every meal you have. I'm like, cool. Not gonna do that, but maybe I'll add a little bit of salt on it. Who knows? Maybe that will help.
So there's an extreme parodied version of this in TV show called Scream Queens. If you haven't watched it, Aaron, I highly recommend it. But there's actually a scene where the main girls are sitting down for a lunch and they're eating literal cotton balls
Oh my
because
God.
they're 0 calories.
Don't forget, they're dipping it into like mustard
Oh
or
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah,
barbecue sauce. It added more flavor.
that's right. It is a serious thing though. Like, and you hear about it through Victoria's Secret models. The K-pop idols are kind of in the cultural zeitgeist right now because Korean music is exploding. So people are understanding and seeing like how they maintain a body like that. They take a chicken breast, boil it, cut it up into 3 pieces, and that's their meal for the week. Like that's awful.
So I think chronologically, we were around 18 with your story, Brittany.
Yes, it was getting bad, and my sister gave me an ultimatum because she could see I was destroying my body.
Mhm.
She's like, if you don't stop, I will tell our parents and we will get you help. And I started having a panic attack, just yelling at her, like, no, don't tell her. Why would you even say that? I don't want to tell them. She's like, why? Why don't you? And then my brother got involved. He's like, why won't you tell them? Because they are the only ones who knew, my siblings. And I just yelled out because I don't want to stop. I don't want to get better. And so Nigel, my brother, immediately was like, you know what? No, I didn't want to hear that. He left the room and immediately grabbed my mom and brought her in the room. And I'm like, damn it.
That was above his pay grade.
Yep.
Yeah. Get the boss.
I am grateful for them to be able to get me more support, but they didn't know how to deal with it. Who knows? You know, no one knows the answers off the bat. I didn't know how to help myself. They've never met anyone who dealt with it.
Yeah.
And my parents are not, they don't know how to help me because they've never had to deal with anything like this back when they were younger, growing up in the Philippines. This is like new to them.
Mhm.
So their way of helping me was I was never allowed to close the door, the bathroom door. At the time, I'm like, okay, yeah, I agree. So now, like, so you guys can stop me if I am about to.
So I can only throw up outside of my home. Is what that taught you.
Basically. But at the time, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is great advice. I think this will help me. But then I realized how overwhelming it got because every time I went to the restroom, they're like, Brittany, where are you going? What are you going to do? I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm just going to go pee. I'm going to go shower. But I started getting overwhelmed because how much they were trying to help. They just didn't know if they were doing it properly. Exactly.
Yeah.
They didn't know how. I don't put any blame on them.
They didn't have the technology.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It makes sense why the layman wouldn't know exactly the right
Yeah,
techniques to use.
There's a field of study.
Yeah.
And there was a time though when it came to that, like the whole can't close the door. I got so mad because I'm like, oh wow, you guys don't trust me. I'm getting angry, but then they had their reasons because I didn't trust myself.
Yeah.
So there was a time where like I ate so much and I was freaking out and I started sprinting to the bathroom. My sister thought it was a joke, so she started laughing and following me. And then I just slammed the door and held it with my leg because it's very close to the toilet.
Yeah.
And I can just hear her like knocking on the door, laughing. She's like, come on, don't do this, thinking I'm joking. But she didn't hear me literally lift it up and just basically purged out all my lunch and breakfast. She didn't know it. She thought I was joking. And I just washed off because I was so used to the whole process that I knew how to do it quietly. I knew how
And
to
quickly.
really clear out the evidence because I was used to it. I know what to do. So when I came out of the bathroom, she's like, did you do anything? I'm like, of course not. I just needed to pee. She believed me.
Yeah.
I learned that I can be a very good liar when it comes to that.
How long did the bathroom door staying open? How long did that last?
It didn't last too long. I think only a month because I told him like I can't keep doing that. I need my privacy.
Yeah.
And this is not helping me in any way. It's making me feel worse and I want to do it out of spite.
Right.
So they understood and they left me alone. They gave me the space I needed. And that's when I actually started slowly feeling better. That's when I started knowing my limits with food. I really tried not to binge eat because the binge eating is what leads to everything.
Yeah.
Then I still had that binge eating problem. So I just started just going to the gym whenever I felt bad. I just wanted to go on a walk, go work out, lift some weights, or just go out, get out of the apartment. Because at the time there was 8 of us living in a 2-bedroom apartment in downtown
Yikes.
Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's rough.
I understand
So
why your dad is so dedicated to his business now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was not a good time living in downtown LA. It was good for work, but living in it with 8 people, having no privacy, because I can be in the shower and someone's like, please, I need to use the restroom. So I'll be in the shower and then someone will just barge in because there's a key out there. So they'll just barge in, use the restroom. And I'm just like, well, okay, no privacy ever.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what kind of made it harder for me too. Hard to hide it, but I learned.
So you're saying you started to get better, but even recently you've been dealing with this. So what's kind of the next chapter of this opportunity that you've been learning to overcome for the past decade?
It was a couple months ago when I started going back to that cycle, but then I told Tim because I tell him everything every time I feel bad, but sometimes I wouldn't tell him until afterwards because I knew he will tell me don't do it even though I really wanted to.
Yeah, you would. Yeah.
Yeah. So after I did it, I told him. I felt bad and I thought I was just gonna be like, oh, we'll just brush it off. I'll get better soon. This time he's like, you're telling me this, I'm here to support you, but how long will this last? How many times are you going to do this until you realize you need to stop and get help? And when he was telling me this, I can just see the pain in his expression because he just didn't know how to properly help me because I don't tell him until afterwards.
And I'm sure he's worried about your health because
Exactly.
you could burn a hole in your esophagus just one time doing it. So he was
Yeah.
like, dude, do I have to worry about you going into kidney failure from not drinking water and like dying from not eating enough and blah, blah, blah?
And I think one really important thing to mention here too is like this wasn't a one-off thing. This was something that you and I were tackling together our entire relationship. I knew about this before we actually got into our relationship, the same way you knew about my alcohol abuse. You know, we talked about our bad stuff as well as our good. So I knew about it beforehand, and it wasn't just a once every now and then thing.
Yeah. That's why him talking to me about it, I definitely realize a lot of things where this is a partnership. I'm not just affecting my body or just me. It's affecting him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there was times too when I wanted to give him advice when it comes to getting better, but I also felt like a hypocrite because I wasn't even trying to get better when I'm trying to help him. So it was like he's growing and I'm just watching from a distance.
Yeah.
And so I realized, no, we have to be growing together because it can't just be him and then him trying to pull me up. I'm saying, no, I'm good where I'm at.
That's beautiful. And that's one cognitive distortion I want to talk about, especially it's like becoming a mass delusion where everyone thinks you have to come into a relationship perfect. But that's not the case. My wife and I have healed. It sounds like you guys have healed considerably. And the person you marry, you're not marrying who they are that day. You're marrying who you think they're going to be for the rest of your life. So some people give up because they're like, they're not the person I married anymore. The only constant is change. Of course, your partner's going to change. You just have to help and grow with them and evolve and blah, blah, blah. And I'm
Right.
sorry that's a ton of work, but guess what? It's a ton of fucking work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that people need to understand when it comes to that though too, because we knew about each other's problems, right? We had already talked about it, and we got into the relationship knowing that we had this baggage. And it's the first sign of a problem didn't make us want to run away from each other. We ran closer. We wanted to help each other. We wanted to grow together. During my times too, Britt was always there. You know, she was always helping me out. She would talk to me. She would talk me through it. I would tell her, or I would go and drink too much, and we would talk about it. You know, and I would have to start creating those limits and understanding, you know, what exactly I'm doing and how it's affecting the relationship. Right.
So you guys were brave, honest, humble.
Everything that we've been preaching about, right? Like we can't just talk about it. We have to be about it.
Thank you, Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Right. And I wanted to do the same for her because she had always been,
it.
She always deserved it. She'd always been my rock. She'd always been able to help me get that next motivation to get over the wall in front of me, to face down the next wall, you know, to find the new challenge.
So it's your turn to help her up.
Yeah. But kind of like what I already said, you know, there's a reason why therapists are trained and study in the field that they do. You know, they're able to help people understand things in a way that me as a layman, I couldn't. And I wanted to so bad. But that last time, I told her, you know, she always explains it as like I put my foot down, but you know, I more or less did. I had
You
to.
just communicated your boundary.
Yeah, this is the last time. Well,
you said I'm not okay with you hurting my wife like this.
Yeah, not that I'm saying I created like
but I mean that's
exactly right. Like I made sure I expressed exactly, and wife, I'm sure you can explain it a little bit better. You're the one who lived through it, you know.
Yeah, he has definitely helped me with every step of the way of getting help. He walked into, so when I went to go sign up for therapy, he was there with me. I told him like, if he's not there, I probably would have ran out. and said, no, maybe let's try next week or the week after that. And he's like, no, let's go. Held my hand and we walked in together. And the moment like I sat there, I'm like, oh, this is really going to end soon, isn't it? I felt like I was finally about to close a chapter of my life in the best way.
So that was
felt
your fall.
so
You got
good.
to see the leaves changing colors.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, how
We
good.
lit
It
up a
was
jack-o'-lantern.
amazing. And like my first session ever, I wanted to, again, I was very scared, but he was there with me, sitting beside me. And when my therapist came out, I was like, okay, here we go. New story to tell. I'm like, okay. But I was about to just cry and run out, but he was just rubbing my back. He's like, you can do this. You're very strong. You got this. I'm like, okay, I do. I got this. And after that first session, I walked out like with the biggest smile on my face. I'm like, that was amazing. I felt like I wanted to already. I felt like I was growing after that one session already. And I'm like, let's get some food. I'm ready to eat. That was like what I wanted to do instantly.
And I don't want to be crass. Tim, if you don't want to answer verbally, you can just nod or shake, or you can glare at me. Your wife been getting thicker? You happy? No, she hasn't.
I'm very happy.
No? Oh, I was gonna say
Hell
no.
yeah.
She's been getting muscular. The muscles are growing in. She's been
Hell
living.
yeah.
She's been living her best healthy life, and that's
Hell yeah.
all I want. She has a gallon of water that she drinks daily. Does she make it through it? Not all the time, but she eats 3 square meals a day. We get our time at the gym. We get our time doing cardio together, and we're there. I tell people, it's funny too, because I tell people at work, because she's always with me at work. We're attached at the hip. I see my chain of command and they see her. They know she's there. They see her.
Me.
They see her. They know I'm not too far away.
So, Brittany, how do you feel?
I feel incredible. I feel healthy. For the very first time in years, I feel like I'm in the healthiest I've ever been. I am eating 3 meals a day, something I haven't done in years. Again, like you said, drinking water. I make sure I have carbs in every meal because I always crave for like bread, rice, something I haven't really craved for a very long time. Sometimes I'm like, I want a cookie. I'm going to eat a cookie. Is that a brownie? I want to eat that brownie. It's like that feeling. I'm good. So yeah, I feel incredible.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Tim, if you had more story, I'm sorry I interrupted. I just really wanted to ask her how she's feeling.
No, it's fine. I'm just over here gushing, because like the past couple of months has been a massive like upswing for her. You know how we've always been talking about how lately I feel like I've been rolling the dice and everything's coming up, Tim. Well, that's how I feel when I look at her, right? She's rolling the dice and everything is coming up, Brittany. She's making incredible friends. She's having incredible opportunities. She's learning every single day. We're staying on this new healthy journey together. And
so you're walking your path.
Yeah, we're walking our path. I don't feel like we're growing. I feel like we're exploding up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, to me, right? Like it's such a positive thing. It's one of the biggest reasons why I stay so positive in my day to day. I have an example of somebody who's fought through the trenches, come out on the other side after climbing through a mile of shit.
Yeah,
and they're still going. Yeah, the Shawshank Mile. She's still going, right? And I am too, right? If we don't grow, we're atrophying. And we always say that. So we're constantly on a path of growth. And it's just, to me, it's incredible, man. It's absolutely incredible. And
we need to get like Shawshank Mile shirts. We need to get brown shirts.
Yeah.
It's like No Streetlights Podcast, and then the back will be like Shawshank Mile.
Shawshank Mile. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'll call that every time I run a mile. I'll be like, I just did my Shawshank Mile today.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. No, I can't stop talking about how happy, impressed, and everything I am for my wife here, and what she's overcome and how much she's continuing to grow.
All of that is good karma, so you can keep that shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is.
And I will say, oh, sorry.
Oh, no, please go.
I was going to say, like, now I'm able to communicate on my bad days. So I'll So like if I'm feeling bad, I'll be like, hey, I'm not really feeling good about myself today. And he's like, what can we do? I'm like, I don't know. But I just wanted to tell you about it. Now I feel okay. It's kind of like those kind of little moments. Because he's like, well,
Yeah.
just so you know, you are beautiful. I'm like, you're right. You're right.
That's
So
lovely.
those are like those moments that helps me. And every time I feel insecure, I learned what my therapist has taught me: talk to it and kick it out. I'll be
Yeah.
like, hey, doubt. Like if I'm feeling like, say, bloated, I'm like, hey, bloat, I know you're here, but I'm just gonna let you know I'm not gonna allow you to take over my mind. I'm gonna be okay. You are not gonna take control of me anymore. And so I'm good. Or it's like when I'm running and I'm having doubts, I'll be like, hey, doubt, you gotta go. I'm gonna put you in this drawer and you gotta just go. And I'm good.
Her therapist, huge shout out to her, by the way. She was the one who taught me about that personifying your unpleasant emotions, and
Mhm.
also teaching me about moving away from calling emotions positive and negative, and sticking more with pleasant and unpleasant, because none of your emotions are necessarily negative. They're just more, they're trying to tell you something. There's a lesson that the emotion wants you to have. So huge shout out to her therapist for that, because that's something that I took and placed in my tool belt.
I've converted that from knowledge to wisdom here recently after like meditating on what Chaz and has talked to us about, and even having this conversation actively with you. I'm still converting that knowledge to wisdom of like, I guess Dad saying is nothing is good nor evil, thinking makes it so. So nothing is good or evil. There is a root cause to every effect. So if something is negative, we have to heal the root cause. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to grow forward into who we're supposed to be, or, whatever we're supposed to be doing.
I love that.
Beautiful.
We love you. So fucking
God.
deal with that. How about? Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't know how to deal.
Something that my wife mentioned earlier was she would count her calories. And the first thing I think about when I hear something like that is like the bodybuilders who are hardcore counting their macros and everything like that. And I know there's a difference, but it's not that much of a difference. Like it's almost like borderline on that area. Not, they're not doing the binging and purging, but they're very careful about what they eat, to the grain, to the calorie,
Yeah.
and it's
and that's
just,
because you
I feel
just
like a
have
lot
to have
of people
a plan at that level.
Yeah, I just, the reason why I bring it up is because I feel like a lot of people don't see how body dysmorphia can affect people. Like sometimes it gets disguised as something. Like, well, I'm a professional bodybuilder, I count my macros, but it's like there is probably a little bit of an eating disorder in there, a body dysmorphia disorder, or something else is going on.
Yeah, it's called athletic anorexia. It's where you can only eat once you've exercised. That's a very common thing with athletes.
Really?
Is like they have. Yeah, I even had it back in the day because, again, moderation is key. The middle path is the best.
Right.
Yes, if you need to count your calories, count your calories.
Yeah.
But don't do it in a detrimental way that's going to kill your body.
Yeah, definitely.
So I agree that moderation is key and the middle path is best. You can count your calories, you can exercise, but you also have to love yourself and be compassionate towards yourself. So if you're using calorie counting and exercise as a weapon against yourself, fucking uncool, dude. Cut that out.
Completely
and
agree.
If you need help cutting it out, go to betterhelp.com/nslp, get 10% off your first month, and help support our podcast, because I would really like to make this a legitimate LLC for season 2.
If BetterHelp is already on your list of things to do, you can always go to bbscoffee.com, purchase some of the coffee from over there. Helps keeps you awake during any time you're going through a therapy session, and also helps you not want to murder people.
And helps BB get to therapy, dude. Buy her coffee so she can keep getting better.
Support small businesses, guys. Like, come on. Come on, please. We got links in the description.
So there's our ad read, listeners. Thank you for bearing with us. And thank you for supporting us, especially if you go over to patreon.com/NSLP or whatever our Patreon is. It'll be in the show notes.
Yeah, check
because
the
that money comes pretty directly to us. Thank you for making that link tree, Tim.
And thank you for helping me with that, Aaron.
I personally saw it, and it looks beautiful.
I think we finished kissing each other on the mouth for our listeners. So, Brittany, is there other things you want to talk about now that Tim and I are done kissing in front of you?
You know, that's a sight I'm used to. I know my
Yeah.
place when it comes to both of you.
We both love you, and you understand that we love each other. That's
Love.
Exactly.
We love love.
I know. I'm used to this. It's okay.
Okay, as long as you accept us.
Aaron, I will say he just made out with another man like an hour ago. I didn't want,
I know we're in
Didn't want
different
to
zip codes. I know
I
he
get it.
has his needs.
So we all have our place in his life. I see.
Yeah, no, you're one of his spoons. I'm one of his other spoons. We've got a whole drawer full of cutlery. If you had 2 spoons, that's
And I have a guy that I like to fork every now and then.
yeah.
I'm sorry, what? Sir, we're gonna have a talk after this call.
Shout out to Joey, my fork.
Yeah. What's up, Joey? What's up, girl?
Oh, what's up, girl?
Do you want to talk about starting your small business and stuff since you've been overcoming shit and kind of show people what it looks like after you get through the Shawshank Mile? Because you are killing it right now.
I always wanted to be my own boss, and I've always loved coffee. So I said, you know what? Why not do some research and just have my own coffee business? I'm going to be out of the States for a while, and I don't want to just work at the base, something I don't want to do, have a boss. I wanted to be like, no, I'm in control. I can do this. And so I created BB's Coffee.
You must be incredibly proud.
I'm very proud, but I will be honest. This is where we can be honest and vulnerable. I have been super stressed and overwhelmed because I am doing this alone, and there's steps I don't know what to take. I don't know what I should do next after doing this, and it gets overwhelming. But because I have Tim always supporting me on the side, he keeps me, I guess, sane when it comes to my business, because I can be very exactly. I can be very
insane
when it comes to I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm giving up. This is it. I can't do this anymore. And he's like, no, breathe. And I'm like,
what's the problem? What's the
take
solution?
a breath,
you right.
relax, and be welcome.
Yeah. If you can see the problem, you know what the solution is. And if not, someone knows it. So ask your buddy.
Yeah. Like my buddy Aaron.
Yeah, I don't know the solutions. I just know a guy who does, so I'll point you in that way.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, I can tell you about walking the path. I've done plenty of walking, and I've done plenty of leaning. I can tell you about that. But
I also want to point out something though too, because the coffee business, that's been my wife's main driving force.
Her main purpose.
Yeah, that's what she's been putting a lot of her energy into. But since starting therapy and kind of getting a wrangle on the outsides of her life that she had kind of lost control of, I guess, she's picked up a bunch of her previous hobbies as well. And
so you're pursuing fun now that you're not living in misery.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the biggest thing is she's been picking up painting again, which is something she hasn't picked up the brush in, I don't know, how long was it, babe? Like a year and a half?
A year.
It's been a while.
And even when I did, it's been 2 years. For 2 years, I didn't finish any of my projects. It's like when I started struggling on a certain part of a painting, I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not even going to finish this. Not worth my time. Mm-hmm. So you can go in my art studio and see all my unfinished canvases, all my unfinished sketches. Like you can flip through. None of them are finished. I never finished one for 2 years.
Yep.
Dude, we should probably put that in our merch store because that's a beautiful metaphor or simile, depending on, I think, metaphor.
The unfinished art?
Yeah. Dude, what a beautiful story that tells.
Snaps to that.
God bless. So you finally started painting again. What's your preferred medium, or what do you paint? Do you paint scenery? Do you paint people?
I realize I love painting scenery. Abstract, I try, but I like realism a lot. I love making vibrant colors on a canvas and just having them all put together. Right now, I'm currently working on this giant canvas, and this one isn't even for anyone. This is for me and Tim. It
How
is.
wonderful.
Do you know how? Yeah. Do you know Howl's Moving Castle?
Yes, we're
So
going to Studio Ghibli while I'm in Japan. So
You might have heard of it
yes.
once or twice.
yeah. So I am painting the beautiful scenery of a giant cloud and grass and flowers, and then you just see me and Tim walking up a hill with our cats. And Tim is I painted Tim already. He's like the character from Howl's Moving Castle, and I'm the girl. And then we have our little cats
Yeah.
running with us. And it's just a painting that just screams freedom. And it's just like something I've been working on for weeks.
Yeah.
Dad won an art contest with a piece almost exactly like that. It's called Rocky Top. I'll send you a poster.
Please do.
'Cause we have 4 copies of his
Oh,
thing.
heck yeah.
So one will live in House B.
I love that.
But yeah, we have Dad's art all through the house. So I can't imagine how beautiful it's going to be having your home with your art. That'll make you feel so welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. No, well, lately I have been painting with my Italian friend on base. She paints coasters, and I walked by, and then I joked to her. I'm like, hey, if you need a person to paint with, just let me know. And she's like, just sit here with me and let's paint together. And I will
Let's
say,
do it right now.
Right now.
basically with her, I will say she is also someone who has helped me get back to painting again, because we painted coasters together and I finished these, and I'm like, I miss finishing artwork.
Mm-hmm.
And because of her, I also realized I should paint on my own. I should go home and paint something and actually finish it, because I felt mentally well. And the fact that I just finished a little cute coaster, I was like, I missed this. I feel good. I need to go home and paint.
I've had probably 30 beautiful ideas in the past 10 seconds that you've been talking. So we'll definitely have to have a follow-up business call for this. But
Hell yeah.
I think that is so fucking beautiful. I'm sorry that I don't know the good karma word to substitute for the dolphin language from SpongeBob, but that is so fucking beautiful, and I don't know another fucking word to describe how fucking beautiful that is.
All right. I think we should go ahead and call it here because I got to take a
It is
shower
time.
and I feel great.
I'm like, are y'all done making out? You guys are good?
This has been Aaron.
And Tim with Brittany.
That's his wife, Mrs.
Wife
Blunkard.
B. My wife.
It's me.
With my
It's me.
wife.
Hi.
So-
Hi, it's me.
Send this episode to whoever it made you think about.
And comment below with what you want to hear us talk about, or tag someone you want us to bring on.
In the meantime, be good to yourselves and each other. We love you.
Bye.